first and the foremost thing is trust and security. So what does this basically mean is very, very simple. Trust nothing by default. Even it's like even if it is a virtual machine which is there in your Google Cloud platform, there is one more virtual machine. Two virtual machines need to interact each other. You don't need to trust. You cannot trust because it is in GCP. I don't need. I cannot easily trust it. So basically, they use this policy. Trust nothing by default. Every time you want to do some communication between another service, it could be a virtual machine and a database. You don't need to trust it. First, you need to authenticate. Then only you are allowed to communicate. So this is their basic fundamental principle Google follows, not only in GCP, in every other Google products they use. GCP is also one of their Google products, just for your information. So end-to-end encryption by default turned on. So now you may feel like this is more like a marketing feature, end-to-end encryption. But as we see the various features, you will understand it. Wherever any data comes into picture, storage, any kind of data, whether you store it in a database or in something like a Dropbox kind of storage options, which you're going to see, encryption is turned on by default. So if you are really new to encryption, you don't need to worry itself. Google takes care of it by default for you. That is by default. That's a cool feature. But if you are slightly an advanced security person, you want to have your own encryption keys, all those things, then Google also provides you that option. So by default itself, if you are a startup organization or if you are learning GCP for the first time, you don't need to worry about the encryption yourself. They are going to take care of that for you, and it is turned on by default. That's the second advantage which you get in this trust and security part. And the third important thing is how many times have you seen forget about the downtime, the December downtime which happened, uh, forget about that, that's downtime. But how many times have you heard Google products being breached, uh, information leaked, some attack? I would say very, very minimal. The reason why this happens is basically there are almost like good number of security engineers who work day in, day out, almost like 1,000 plus. Now this slide was slightly old, so 700 plus security engineers across the world working dedicated for Google. Now it's going to be close to 1,000 if I'm not wrong. So these are dedicated engineers who work on this day in, day out to find out any vulnerabilities, any malwares, all those things. So in 2018, when this ransomware and meltdown vulnerabilities came, right, Google Cloud was there still at that time. And at the same time, if you just go search, you should be able to get that news there. AWS products, they had to down their service for patching uh, this vulnerability. But Google, right, GCP, they did not do anything. They did not need to down their services. A downtime was not even required for them because they had patched it behind the scene itself. They were the first person to find it out first, and they were able to fix this thing and without any downtime. The credit is because there is a good amount of security engineers who's working on this. They find out this well in advance, they patch it. So that's one thing. And they also take any product when there's one question, let me finish it and answer it. Any service which they build, right, they take first security in place. They take the security layer first and then start building on top of it. uh, Usually I use this word, the security should be in the DNA, it should be in the blood. So that's what I would say. It should not be like outside. It should not be like a dress or a nuts and bolts kind of a stuff. So it should be in the DNA. What Google follows is right from the hardware level, they have the security in place, and they also use a chip called as Titan. So if you just search in the internet, you will get some good articles on a chip called as Titan right from the hardware. So they embed this and take the security to the utmost care. So it's in their DNA. And the same principle is what you also should follow when you are doing something with building any solution. Keep the security thing first. That's where that cloud IAM second module comes into picture. This is the first reason why to go with Google cloud platform. There's one question: is there any different? Is there any benefit of using self-provided keys for encryption? Uh, Instead of calling it as self-provided keys, I would call it as customer. You are the customer. You have created your own key. You wanted to use it. So one benefit which you get is even Google cannot decrypt it. Say for example, let's take a simple example, a hypothetical scenario. The question is key, the encryption key. If it is turned on by default, the key is managed by Google for you. So they generate it, they manage it for you. Everything is managed there. But in some scenarios, let's assume there's some scam or something. Now there's one organization who's using Google Cloud Platform. Just an hypothetical scenario, folks. Please don't take me wrong. A hypothetical scenario, there's one customer or an organization called as ABC. Uh, then they have some scam or something. Now the government, uh, the security agency or whatever, the government wanted to look all their data. Now, if they have used default service, the default encryption option, they they reach out to Google saying that uh, there is an issue, there's some scam going on with this organization. We want to look into their data completely because it's a government order. Maybe with all the legal stuffs, Google can share those data. Now they can read the data easily because the key was in Google itself. Now, if you don't want this to happen, you generate your own key, encryption key, and you encrypt it. Now the same scenario, if it happens, even if the government asks Google, Google can give the data, but they cannot read the data because it's encrypted and the key is not in Google's infrastructure, it is with you. That is the only benefit which you get if you are creating your own key, Aman. um, but one drawback is you have to manage the key. If you lose the key, nobody in the world can decrypt the data unless you are a super hacker. Hope that answers your question, Aman. So the question was the benefit of using a self-generated key. What is the benefit over Google's default option turned on? So the first reason, security, trust and security. So this is one important thing, and right from startups to the biggest enterprise, they expect their solution to be secure. So that's the first reason why you should go, and it is very, very secure compared to others. For example, those meltdown ransom incidents can give you a better picture that yes, it is going to be much robust than the other thing. And if you compare it with data centers, right? I have been in customers' place where the customer used to ask in the beginning days when the cloud was evolving, how secure is your cloud? This was a very standard question which they were asking it. Now, if you go for any customer interactions to understand the requirement, no customer in the world today asks, how secure is AWS? How secure is Azure? How secure is GCP? How secure is your IBM cloud? They never ask it because they understand cloud infrastructure is much more secure than their on-premise data center. So that standard cloud providers have done it. But if you compare all those things, Google is slightly well ahead of those things is what I would suggest basically. So cloud platform, now I have seen many HSBC, PayPal, they all use already cloud basically. So there are a good amount of banks which use cloud to a great extent. I guess Standard Chartered uses Azure, if I'm not wrong. HSBC uses GCP. The n number of financial institution itself using cloud. In the beginning, they told no, we cannot use it. Now they use it. So that shows cloud infrastructure is much secure than the on-premise. That's the first reason.